Good morning, students. Today, the topic that we are going to discuss is learning and approaches in education, approach strategy, and methods in teaching. The learning objectives of today's topic are teaching approach. You will be able to understand the concept of teaching approach, criteria of teaching approach, the different criteria of teaching approach, teaching strategies, what are the different teaching strategies, teaching methods, what do you mean by teaching methods, the criteria of a teaching method, what is the different criteria of teaching methods, teaching techniques, and teaching activities. Now, the teaching approach and in teaching, the term approach refers to the way a subject course is being taught in order to achieve long-term objectives. Means when we are talking about the teaching approach in the context of the teaching, the term approach refers to the way a subject course is being taught, the way we are teaching a particular subject or course is being included in that in order to achieve long-term objectives in the way we can achieve the long-term objectives of that particular subject or course. The criteria of teaching approach, how teaching is conducted, the way the teaching is being conducted in order to achieve long-term objectives so that we can able to achieve our long-term objectives. The objectives are not achievable in just one or two sessions, means it is very difficult to achieve the objectives in just one or two teaching sessions. It's needed long term, long time to achieve those objectives. Based on certain teaching theory means the teaching approach is based on certain teaching theories. Different theories have been there for the teaching and it is based on those teaching theories, model or principle. Possess axiomatic element whose statement evidence is not needed. Consist of strategy means the strategy, methods and techniques. Examples of teaching approaches: inductive, deductive, acyclic, integration, mastery, and constructivism. And these are the examples of teaching approaches. How you can teach a particular subject or course content. Now, the teaching strategies refers to the wisdom in selecting teaching approach. Now, teaching strategy refers to the wisdom of the teacher in selecting the teaching approach. Which teaching approach should be used by the teachers to teach that particular subject or content to the student? Teaching method, which teaching method should be employed by the teacher? Techniques, what different techniques will be used by the teacher? And activities and different activities that will be used or employed by the teacher for teaching that particular course or content in order to achieve teaching objectives. And all these things, the teaching approach, selection of the best teaching approach, teaching methods, techniques, and activities, are selection is based so that we can able to achieve the teaching objectives of that particular subject or content. Now, the criteria of teaching strategy involves planning, means the selection or the criteria of the teaching strategy, which teaching strategy should be adopted by the teacher. Involves planning, means it's needed a lot of planning from the side of the teacher for the selection of the teaching strategy. Organizing, how the teachings should be organized, and implementing of teaching method, and how a particular teaching method can be implemented. Technique, different techniques and activities and different activities for that. The teaching strategy must match with the selected teaching approach. Means the teaching strategy that will be used by the teacher must match with the selected teaching approach that will be selected by the teacher. Concerned with long-term teaching objectives, and must be concerned with the long-term teaching objectives. What are the different long-term teaching objectives of that particular subject or the topic which the teacher is going to teach the students? Now, examples of teaching strategies: exploratory and discovery teaching, guided discovery teaching, discussion strategies, and problem-based learning. Now, teaching method. What do you mean by the concept or the meaning of teaching? Refers to a series of systematic action. Means the teaching method refers to a series of systematic action that will be taken by the teacher. Systematic action by teachers, and that will be taken by these actions will be opted by the teacher, and they should be in a systematic or organized manner in order to achieve short-term teaching objective. And these uh, actions should be used, or these actions should be performed by the teacher, so that the teacher is able to achieve the short-term objectives of that particular subject or the course or the content that he is going to teach to the students. It is an organized effort, means the teaching method is an organized effort and procedure based on the selected strategy, and which teaching method should be adopted by the teacher is based on the selected strategy, means the strategy which has been opted by the teacher to teach the students. Now, the criteria of teaching method. What is the criteria for selecting a particular teaching method? Why that particular teaching method should be opted by the teacher and that should not be opted by the teacher? What is the criteria of selecting a particular teaching method? A series of systematic and sequential action by teacher. It is used to gain short-term teaching objective. Means the teaching method will help the teacher to gain the short-term teaching objectives. Examples of teaching method: direct instruction, interactive teaching, demonstration, problem solving, simulation, project, team teaching, and inclusion. Now, teaching technique. What do you mean by the concept of teaching technique? It refers to the teacher's application skills. Means when we are talking about the teaching techniques, it is referred that what teaches application skills in implementing the selected teaching method. Means uh, the skill which will be applied by the teacher so that he can implement the selected teaching method, the method that has been selected by the teacher to teach that particular concept, and the way the teacher is application skill, how he is applying that selected teaching method. This refers to the teaching technique. The steps in teaching, the different steps that are involved in the process of teaching. Teacher needs to consider students' background, the previous knowledge of the students related to that particular concept. Background in choosing teaching techniques means the teacher must keep in mind while selecting or choosing the teaching techniques. The need to consider students' background, what are is their previous knowledge, how much they have known about that particular subject, and this must be keep in mind when the teacher is choosing the teaching technique to teach the students a particular concept or a topic. Now, teaching activities refers to action or work done by students. Means the teaching activities related to or refers to the action or work which will be performed by the students during the teaching and learning session, and the actions or the works which have been performed by the students during the teaching learning process is known as a teaching activity. Example, revision work. If the students are doing the revision work, group discussion, if the students are involved in discussing a particular concept or a topic and they are discussing that particular concept in the group, drawing and etc. Now, approach deductive strategies, or the second one is exploratory and discovery teaching method lecture. Now, inductive approach. The concept of inductive teaching means the meaning, the concept of teaching. Inductive teaching is it is based on the claim. Means inductive teaching is based on the assumptions or its claim to that I am based on that knowledge is built primarily from a learner experiences. Means the knowledge which has been built is primarily based on the learner experiences. What are the learner experiences? And interaction with phenomena. How the learner is interacted or interacting with that particular phenomena. On the basis of their interaction and his experiences related to that phenomena, he is able to develop or build his knowledge. The process in inductive approach observation, research specific examples, identify making, analyze generalizations, etc. The principles in using inductive approach, prepare suitable examples. The teacher has to prepare suitable examples related to the topic that he is going to teach. Do not provide explanation or elaborations. Means first the teacher has to just select the suitable examples related to that. Very specific examples, encourage students to give example. After the examples are presented before those students by the teacher, then the teacher should encourage the students to give some examples related to the topic. Present one by one example and they have to present, the student has to present one by one examples in front of the teachers. Prepare teaching aids. The teacher has to prepare the particular teaching aids to teach that particular topic to the students. Utilize all student senses. These multi-senses should be used by the teacher to teach that particular concept to the students. The teaching and learning process should be sequential, means it should be in a proper order, in a proper sequence. Now the teacher roles in inductive approach. Create opportunities and contexts in which students can successfully make the appropriate generalization and to guide students when necessary. Means the guidance can be given by the teacher to the students whenever they think that now the guidance should be given by them to the students to learn that particular concept. And student can successfully make the appropriate generalization with the help of the examples. The students can generalize a particular concept or a topic. Now, phases in using inductive approach. Decide on teaching objective. What are the teaching objectives to teach that particular concept? Phase 1, Prepare examples planning means you have to prepare the examples that you are going to share with the student. Prepare questions, you have to prepare the questions related to that. Prepare teaching aids means you have to prepare some teaching aids to teach that particular concept. Set induction, phase 2. Present examples, exposures, observe examples. Phase 3. Observe pattern, formation of concept, analyze pattern, observe pattern, summarize pattern. You can summarize the particular pattern. Phase 4, making generalization means the student will able to generalize the particular concept, making conclusion on the basis of that, explain formula, principle or theory, making cognitive summary. Phase 5, making social summary, closing, provide further activities to the student. Now the deductive approach, it is based on the idea that a highly structured presentation of content creates optimal learning for a student. It believes that a highly structured presentation of content, if presented in front of the students, it will create optimum learning environment for the student. It starts with the introduction of formula, means the teacher first introduce a formula or principle in front of the learners and follows by their application in specific examples. And after that, the teacher will give some examples related to that formula. Teaching and learning process using deductive approach, application of formula, known formula, deductive approach, and process new formula. Now, principles in using deductive approach, practice, provide, define, journal, apply, and find examples related to that. Illustration, concepts, examples of that demonstrate the concept. An idea hand, those demonstration or cookbook labs are deductive in nature. Students have already been introduced to the idea in their text or in lecture. The lab serves to show them directly and concretely something that they have already known or have been taught conceptually. Now, phases in using deductive approach. Decide on teaching objectives. What are the different teaching objectives? Phase 1. Prepare problem. You have to define the problem. Hypothesis planning. You have to prepare the hypothesis related to that problem. Prepare generalization. You have to make a generalization of this problem. Principle or theory. Prepare teaching aids related to that problem. Present problem hypothesis, and now that you have to prepare the hypothesis related to that. Phase 2, flashbacks or related generalization. Exposure principle theory. Elaborate on known generalization principle theory. Phase 3, relate problem hypothesis with the application. Known generalization principle theory. Apply the generalization principle or theory to the problems or the hypothesis. Proof hypothesis means whether the hypothesis has been accepted or rejected. Phase 4, form new conclusion, marketing conclusion, explain new conclusion, makes cognitive summary. Phase 5, making social summary, closing provides further activities. Now, electric approach using both deductive and deductive inductive approaches both has been used, mostly used in teaching of science and mathematics, and that has been mostly used in teaching of science and mathematics to the students. Integration approach and integration of various elements such as knowledge, the subject content which is being taught by the teacher, moral values, different moral values that the teacher wants to inculcate in the students, and skills, different skills that the teacher wants in the students that they should develop those particular skills. Generic skills and ICT study skills for the effectiveness of the teaching and learning sessions. The integration approach is illustrated in the diagram below. intellectual level, language competence, professional thinking, knowledge integration, skill combination, and moral technological value skills, basic PM, the integration of knowledge, value, and language. Four types of teaching strategies: exploratory and discovery teaching, group discovery teachings, discussion strategies, and problem based learning. Exploratory and discovery teaching. Three essential steps involved in planning. Identify a topic. You have to identify a topic on which the teacher is going to teach. Specify an objective. You have to specify that this topic will be teach to the students to uh, attain these particular objectives. Selection and preparation of examples. You have to select the particular examples and you have to prepare the examples related to that particular topic. What is a good example? How the teacher has to select a particular example. According to Classinger 1992, a good example includes the important characteristics. Means when we are talking about a good example, it must include these important characteristics. If you are teaching a concept, when you are going to teach a particular concept, it will illustrate the relationship or connection between concepts if you are teaching a generalization. It will illustrate the relationship between the concepts that you are going to teach or connections is there between the concepts if you are teaching a generalization. Procedures in implementing exploratory and discovering teaching strategies. Write the abstractions. Conduct lesson based on the objectives that you have framed. Present positive examples means the teacher should present some examples in front of the learners. Give classification exercises to the learner. Now, functions of classification exercise. It reinforces the concept. It encourages active student participation. Means the students are actively involved in that. It helps the teacher assess students' understanding. Means it will help the teachers to know how much the student have understand that particular concept. Advantages of exploratory teaching: time efficient exercise, teacher control. The teacher has a full control on that particular concept which he is going to teach. Guided discovery teaching. Teacher plan the learning process and provide enough guidance to make sure learning take place. Means the teacher is planning the whole learning process and it's giving him enough guidance to make sure that learning should take place in a proper order so the maximum learning outcomes can be achieved. Step for planning uses guided discovery teaching strategy. Identify a topic. You have to select a topic. You have to selection of a topic is must. Forming an objective means you have to frame certain objectives related to that particular concept or the topic. Selecting examples, you have to select certain examples related to it. Ordering the examples means a proper order of examples should be prepared by the teacher. Implementation phase, students are to construct the abstraction using the teacher's guidance. Questioning skills are an integral part of guided discovery lesson. Means we cannot remove the questions from the uh, guided discovery lesson. Question strategies can also motivate learner and encourage participation. Means the questioning strategies will motivate the learners so that they can easily participate in the teaching learning process. At the end of the learning session means after the learning session will be ended, teacher can place the abstraction being taught on the broader board for the class to see, to provide concrete record of the lesson for the class to view. The teacher can present the concrete view of the record of the lesson for the class to view what we have learned, how we have learned that particular concept, to accommodate the students' different learning styles. Discussion strategies feature not designed to teach specific type of content like concept or generalization, less teacher directed, more time consuming. Aim to reach important classroom goals such as to understand the connection and relationship between ideas. Means you will able to understand the connection and relationship between different ideas to become an active listener. You will able to become an active listener to develop leadership skills among the learners, to summarize group opinion means these are the opinion of the students related to that particular concept, to develop self-directed learning skills among the learner, to develop analysis, synthesis, and evaluative skills among the learner, to arrive at the consequences that these can be the consequences, to handle controversy and differences of opinion means you can able to handle the controversies or the differences of opinion related to that particular concept. Teachers' role initiating the teachers should start that, informing the teachers should inform, supporting where the students needed that guidance, monitoring the student. The teacher has to monitor the progress of the learner, evaluating the teacher has to evaluate how much they have learned that particular concept. Planning phase consider the goals of the lesson, what are the objectives of teaching that particular concept. Decide implementation method, which teaching method will be used by the teacher to teach the students. Consider the background and experiences of the learner. Students, what is the previous knowledge of the students and what are the experiences of the student. Think of the product of the lesson, what you will get out of the lesson. Decide on time allocation, how much time is needed. Problem-based learning use a process problem as a focal point for students, an important point for student investigation where they have to find out the solutions to that particular problem. And inquiry common characteristics. Begin with a problem or a question. It's begin with a problem or a question. Students have primary responsibility for investigating the solutions of that particular problem and pursued questions and they have to pursue the questions related to that particular problem. The teacher role is as a facilitator. The teacher will work as a guide, as a facilitator to get the solutions of that particular problem. Goals of problem-based lessons to develop student understanding and ability to systematically investigate a question or problem means to develop students' understanding how much the student have understand a particular concept and ability to systematically investigate a question or problem or how they can systematically investigate to find out the solution of the question or problem. To promote the development of self-directed learning among the student to ensure content acquisition, how much they have learned that particular content. Teaching methods, simulations, and team teaching. Simulation it is a representation or recreation of real object, problem, event, or situation. The learner is an active participant, means the learner is actively involved in that. Engage in demonstration means they are engaged in the demonstration purpose of behavior or previously acquired skills or knowledge. Team teaching. It was introduced in US in 1956. It was organized and implemented by a group of teachers who are specialists in various teaching subjects. Means when we are talking about the team teaching, two or more than two teachers come to teach the particular subject or topic in front of the students, and these teachers are the specialized or experts of that particular topic or the content. Evaluation: all members in the team teaching are responsible to carry out their evaluation activity. Means each teacher is responsible for the evaluation activities, how much the student have learned their part of teaching. Three important components that evaluations of people coursework, skills and behavior. How much they have learned a particular content, skills, what skills they have developed, and behavior. Is there any change in the behavior of the students or not? Evaluation of the achievement of teaching learning objective, whether they are able to achieve the learning objectives or not through the team teaching. Evaluation of the overall program of team teaching means we are able to evaluate the overall program of the team teaching, especially its planning, uh, means the planning work should be proper, and all the other teaching learning aspects and all the other teaching learning aspects that have been used by the teacher. Now, these are the references. You can refer these references for further reading on that particular topic. Now let us discuss some MCQs, as MCQs are the best tools to know the learning outcomes of the learner. In teaching, dash refers to the way a course is being taught in order to achieve long-term objectives. Now the options are A, approach, B, method, C, technique, or it's D, strategy. So these are the options, students. Now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices. And the correct answer is option A, that is in teaching approach means a way of course being taught, how the course should be taught, being taught to the students. And uh, by this method, or the way that course has to be taught, the we should able to achieve the learning outcomes. Second, dash are not achievable in just one or two teaching sessions. Op- Options are A, objectives, B, class, C, purpose, or it's D, goal. So these are the options, students. Now you have to select the correct answer. And the correct answer is option A, that is objectives are not achievable in just one or two sessions. The third one is dash refers to the wisdom in selecting teaching approach, teaching methods, techniques and activities in order to achieve teaching objectives. So the options are A, teaching strategy, B, teaching method, C, teaching approach, or it's D, teaching techniques. So these are the options, students. Now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices. And uh, the correct answer will be yes, the correct answer will be option A, that is teaching strategies, refers to the wisdom in selecting teaching approach, the which teaching approach should be offered by the teacher to teach that particular concept, teaching method, the different teaching methods, or the selection of the appropriate teaching method, techniques, and activities. Now, the fourth one is criteria of dash involves planning, organization, and implementation of teaching method, technique, and activity. Now, the options are A, teaching strategy, B, teaching method, C, teaching approach, or it's D, teaching techniques. So these are the options, students, and now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices. And the correct answer will be option A, that is teaching strategy. So the criteria of teaching strategies involve the planning, organizing, and implementing of teaching method, technique, and activity. Now the fifth one, dash refers to a series of systematic action by teachers in order to achieve short-term teaching objective. Systematic action, the teacher has to take the systematic actions, and the actions will help the teacher to achieve the short-term objectives. Now the options are A, teaching strategy, B, teaching method, C, teaching approach, or it's D, teaching technique. So these are the options, student. And now, what will be the correct answer? And the correct answer will be option A, that is teaching strategy. Sixth, teaching method is an organized effort and procedure based on the selected. Options are A, strategy, B, method, C, technique, or its D, approach. So these are the options, students, and now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices. And the correct answer will be option A, that is teaching method is an organized effort and procedure based on the selected strategy. Now the next one, dash, refers to students' application skills, how they are teachers are applying that skill in implementing the selected teaching method. Now the options are A, teaching technique, B, teaching approach, C, teaching method, or it's D, teaching strategy. So these are the options, students, and now you have to select the correct one on the basis of the given choices, and the correct answer will be teaching techniques. Now the eighth one, dash, is based on the claim that knowledge is built primarily from a learner's experiences and interaction with phenomena. The options are A, inductive approach, B, deductive approach, C, teaching approach, or its D, teaching method. So these are the options, students, and now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices, and the correct answer will be option A, that is inductive approach. Dash is based on the idea that a highly structured presentation of content creates optimal learning for students. Now the options are A, inductive approach, B, deductive approach, C, teaching approach, or it's D, teaching method. So students, these are the options A, B, C, D. Now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices, that which should be or which is based on the idea that a highly structured presentation of content creates optimal maximization learning for students. So the correct answer will be option B, that is deductive approach is based on that idea. Now dash, uh, an investigation of various elements such as knowledge, moral values, skills for effectiveness of the teaching and learning session is known as. Now the options are A, integration approach, B, deductive approach, C, inductive approach, or it's D, teaching approach. So students, these are the options. Now you have to select the correct answer on the basis of the given choices, and the correct answer will be option A, that is integration approach. So thank you, students. With this particular narration, you have understood the concept of method, approaches, techniques, teaching methods, and you will able to understand what are the different approaches, teaching methods, strategies, and techniques, and what are the criteria of selecting that particular technique or the method, approach to teach the students. Thank you, students. Thank you so much for your patience listening.